Hey, good night, my people. What's up? Hope and trust that all is going good. I didn't really plan to do this video here tonight, but I heard something this evening when I went to get some bread. I was talking to a friend of mine, and when I came home, I was going through the net and I saw this story on the Real News portal. Prime Minister tears into security forces for poor job with special venom for Deputy Commissioner Wade, insider alleges. And when I read the story, it came upon my spirit to make this recording. And as you see there from my backdrop, true leaders take responsibility while false leaders blame. And that's a quote there from Jeffrey Benjamin. Uh, my dad was a police officer for donkey years, as they would say colloquially. So I'm always what word should I use? I don't take pleasure in criticizing in a harsh way the police force. If I have to, I will, but I don't do it in a harsh and a crude way. And I always believe that it's because my dad was a police officer for donkey years, as I said, and I know, having grown up in that home, I have seen his interaction with many senior persons, from Sir V.C. Bird to Wright George to Mr. Potter, come down the line, Lucine Edwards, Baptist, Sammy, all of them. And I would have been, I would have grown up in the midst of all these people, um, going to cricket matches and different police functions. So I don't take much pleasure in it. Um, as I read the story, I kept asking myself, so where is the politician in this? Because we all live in Antigua and we know what takes place in Antigua. The article says Monday's meeting, in which cabinet ministers met with the national security forces, reportedly saw Prime Minister Gaston Brown unleash his fury on the various branches of the Security Council, from the police to the prison and all the units between. As the various bodies reported on their respective departments today, August 10th, an inside source alleges that Brown laid into them in turn. The source claims the first to feel the heat was Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier General Telbert Benjamin, whom PM Brown accused of not putting his soldiers to work and allowing them to spend too much time indoors. Now, we know how Antigua is, and I believe we can reasonably say, for those of us who live here, that Chief of Defense Staff Brigadier General Telbert Benjamin did not get to the position where he got to without some direct or indirect, um, direct or indirect virtue, or what am I looking for? Direct or indirect sign that the Prime Minister would have no problem with it. I don't think so. Knowing how Antigua works, I don't see how that's possible. They will tell you, well, this body is responsible for that and this body is responsible for that. But you have to ask yourself the question, who is influenced by certain people or by certain positions? You have to ask yourself that question. You see, in Antigua, I'm not sorry for these kind of people, these people who occupy this position. Telbert Benjamin so. Because in my opinion, they're weak. They're weak of character, weak in character. In my opinion. Right? That is my opinion. Um, there comes a time in your career where you have to give honest advice to certain people. And it might very well lead to you maybe being reassigned or whatever the case is. But when you don't do that, this is what you come to. It being reported in the newspaper how you are dealt with by people who are not even on your level for what you do. To me, that comes from that weakness. I can say a little bit more along there, but I'll hold that for now. I'll hold that for now. It is further claimed that the Office of National Drug and Money Laundering Control and Policy, ONDCP, was accused of being ineffective and threatened with disbandment, with the suggestion that its intelligent personnel be reassigned to the police force. Can't say nothing about Croft. We know Croft was in the Defense Force. He eventually went to ONDCP. And again, living on Antigua, we understand how influence goes. So nobody come and tell me, oh, this body is responsible for this and that. We know how influence goes. And we know what happened without. We know what happened and can happen and don't happen, depending on how certain the breeze blow between certain parts. We know that. The harshest criticism allegedly was reserved for the police force, and particularly the already beleaguered Deputy Commissioner Albert Wade, who reportedly was accused of failing to work along with his superior. Now, let me back up a little bit with the police force. I want to deal with that in two parts. From my knowledge, and this is why I keep going back to we know how Antigua works. Regardless to who the Police Service Commission believe should be the Commissioner of Police. A person not going there unless they get the go ahead from the Prime Minister. Pompey can speak to that more. But from my knowledge, that's what I know. So whoever is there is a representative of the Prime Minister. Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, it's a representative of the Prime Minister. So if the present commissioner was given licks and taken to task, the Prime Minister was taking himself to task, in my opinion, from what I know. Again, we live in Antigua, and we know the saga with Wade. Wade is my brethren. At least I consider Wade to be my brethren. I don't know what he considers me, but I consider Wade to be my brethren. We go back a bit, and starting from around the period of time when Wendell Robinson became Commissioner of Police up to now, the blind can see in Antigua and Barbuda that the political hierarchy do not want Wade. As a matter of fact, we have a joke going back to what the man name? Atlee Rodney, I think his name. That's the man that was with RSS. Atlee Rodney, I think his name is. And I can even go back now. Let me go back a little further than that. Because I had the privilege of interviewing Via Brown when the Privy Council judgment came back. The matter with the engines and them for Haddies and them. When that privy council judgment came back, I had the privilege of interviewing Vebron. I was an observer at the time. And Vebron wanted to highlight certain sections of the ruling. And Wade came along with him. In the studio at the time. I'm not sure if he was deputy at the time. I'm not sure if Wade was deputy at the time. Came along with Vibram. And it was clear to me that Veer was being groomed. Not Veer, Wade was being groomed, or Wade was certainly clear ahead as to the successor for Vibram. I don't know that nobody can question Wade's ability as a police officer. I don't know about that. If people can do that, then bring the information forward. But I'm not aware of that. I don't think nobody can question Wade along that line. But for whatever the reason, the politicians and them don't want him. My understanding is, oh, let me before I go to that, let me see. Coming on from Veer Brown. I believe it was after Veer Brown, Wade went to prison, and when the Robinson passed him, became the commissioner of police. We then went back up to headquarters from prison. Um, and I believe it was after that that Atlee Rodney came. Yeah, because I think Atlee Rodney was after Wendell. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we have a joke among ourselves, me and another friend of mine, that apparently Rodney would have meetings with the heads, and Rodney had traveled, and he was setting up he set up that meeting that he would have with the heads. He was not on island. He set it up by Zoom. We'd say now within a Zoom meeting. So we have that joke among ourselves that we ain't so sal that when when the commission is not here, a Zoom meeting I have a set up thing. So we have that joke among ourselves. And then after Nelson, it goes down. And my understanding is that Wade is deputy commissioner responsible for operations. That's my understanding. And the lady, Mrs. Kwashi, she's now deputy commissioner for administration. That is my understanding. Again, they can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, how does a commissioner of police responsible for operations? How can that person be sidelined? So when we hear politicians talking about and taking shots at Wade in this instance, when they know that there's way, way, way more in the matter than the person. Somebody who's reading this from overseas who don't know how the thing go, they will say they will have one understanding of it, but we who live here, we know. And again, as I said, I think Wade is my brethren. I have Wade as a brethren. And I was telling my friend just after the carnival here, in my opinion, it is sad to see that it looks as if Wade has been broken by them. Because the partner of mine called me, and this is before I read the article, and told me that it was asked of him, Wade, by a particular politician, if you want to go back to prison. He said yes. And the person asked the AG to put a package together. I was told that before I read this article. But anyway, it is a common belief among the rank and file that the cabinet actively directs the operations and decisions of the police hierarchy, and the source believes that Brown's subsequent recommendation will effectively end Wade's career. Well, I didn't even read this paragraph yet, but I believe it kind of, I just said it just now. I believe I just said it just now. If I'm Wade, I'm not moving now. If I am Wade, I am not moving now. I can't see how Wade accepted and went through this denigration. Those are my words. From after Wendell Robinson time to now. And now you're going to tell me you're going to move when you might have maybe 2 or 3 more years to go from what my understanding is from another confidant of ours. Me ain't gonna move. Me ain't gonna make them break me. But that's just me. Wade will decide for himself. According to the insider, the Prime Minister reportedly suggests that the veteran officer would be better off assisting the superintendent of His Majesty's prison and the boys' training school, and it is alleged that he instructed Attorney General S.M.D.H. Benjamin to put together a package that would satisfy Wade. See, we just said the same thing just now. We just said the same thing just now. Because our friend, myself, my friend of mine, and Wade, group of us, call me and tell me that. Call me and say, boy, our partner, Saul, this is it. And when I came and I read, I saw this article. Reportedly, Brown also declared that ranking members of the force who do not want to work should opt out for early retirement. He then allegedly took on the prison superintendent, stating that convicted persons are being released ahead of time and that the reduction in time for good behavior is not being properly applied. Allegedly, the courts were also subject to the blade of the Prime Minister's tongue. The source claims he accused the judiciary of failing the state, saying their lenient sentences were not serving to curb crime, and they were allowing persons to use the system to avoid deportation. To avoid deportation. What? They're using the system to avoid deportation. A Labour Party government is talking about deportation. Didn't they just say? Didn't I just hear them say the other day when Trump and them criminalized people for overstaying the time that we here have not done that, so we'll take them? Because I can remember making a video where I said, well, why do we have the law on the books and never talk about deportation? Boy. It is instructive to note that the person ultimately responsible for national security, Minister Benjamin, has never been publicly held to account for what residents consider a frightening rise in crime, especially violent offenses that include murder, shooting, assault, and home invasion, despite the police declared one crime dubbed Operation Iron Grip. The latest reported incident was a shooting of Asian businessman Yi Zhang on Sunday afternoon, August 9th, inside his compound. I read another article. Now I'm talking about Yi Zhang, and somebody, again, I talked to a lot of people. I was having a chat with somebody earlier, and they were telling me that there was a particular police officer who seemingly knows things that are going on that they make certain reports to Paro police station. There's an article, I saw an article, but somebody was having that discussion with me today. And that person, which politician that person is attached to. I mean, come on, politician. You think everybody in Antigua fully? Oh boy. The administration repeatedly has brushed off residents concerned by declaring Antigua and Barbuda a safer jurisdiction than most of its Caribbean neighbors, in spite of its alarming number of unsolved murders and mysterious disappearances. Therefore, Monday meeting was considered by many residents to be long overdue, with several telling real news they were waiting to see whether the Yida shooting will be treated any differently than the others have been. Well, personally, I don't know what is so long overdue about this meeting Monday, because to me it's a waste of time. Because when you live underground, you know what the issue is. We have square pegs in round holes. Simple. We know that. People, because they suck up to politicians, they occupy certain position. If it wasn't for certain things, maybe the present commissioner of police would not have been commissioner of police if certain things did not happen. So now come and chat no crap and believe that everybody gets swallowed, politician. What I can see, and I'm going to go back to VC Bird Senior now, and my dad's time, my father's time. One thing I can tell you. Yes, there is some level of discussion also going on between senior police officers and when it is he's to have to go to the governor general and blah 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 blah. Yes. But one thing we can tell you, VC always tell he, and he always say, I hear it in conversation ad nauseum that it does have because We just go by some of the senior guys in their home. Some of the senior guys in there just come by our home Sunday time. And when them on the gallery and in the living room we talk, me hear the discussion. One thing VC always tell them, do your work. Do your work. King Obstinate is still alive. Maybe for those who are close to King Obstinate, they can ask him about an incident where he was at Wide Awake Bar and he had a encounter with my dad. And certain things happened and he figured, well, dad's and VC good. So he went to VC and he would tell you what VC told him. That's how VC work. Not like woman see in Antigua now and for some time now. Who it was. Then guys and observers always say, and I have to agree with them, is as if the police wait and hear when the politicians say certain things and then they go to work. Night and day in relation to VC bird time and now. Monday meeting is a waste of time because until there is fundamental change, until police officers can do their work absent of political interference, whether directly or indirectly, nothing to change. Nothing a change. I mean, yet the organization takes its lead from the head organization. That's just how it is. And if the head is looked upon as a clown, where do you think you'll get from down below? Where do you get from down below? And then some politicians come and talk and say this. You believe we just got here overnight? We don't get here overnight now. We have not gotten to this state overnight. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, because I don't really like repeat myself too much. Who caused the problem can be the solution. Can be the solution. Until we come together again, my people. Later. Take care.